Good afternoon, PMO superheroes. This is Hannah from Wellington, and thank you for joining us for our Future PMO Academy Learning Week. Today we are going to be discussing how you can strengthen your PMO with Microsoft Project Web combined with the Power Platform. We will be having a Q&A session at the end, so if you would like to ask Baz anything, please feel free to do so in the question panel to the right. We will aim to get through as many as we can. I would now like to introduce you to our Director of Consulting Services at Wellington, Baz Kinder, who will be delivering this Microsoft webinar to you. Baz, over to you.
Thank you very much, Hannah, and good afternoon, everyone. My name's Baz Kinder, and welcome to the Future PMO Academy Week. I'm, by the way, the Commercial Director of Wellington, and I've been in this role now since 2007. God, it's been a long time. So this session that you're attending, it's the one that's highlighted on the screen at the moment. It happens to be the very first webinar of the week. So let's get started. And in today's session, we'll be looking at how Microsoft Project for the Web and the Power Platform can power the future PMO. I'll start off with a gentle introduction to the new Microsoft Project before highlighting how it can be extended through Power Apps and Power BI. Then I'll move on to a live demo to show you the solution in action. And at that point, if anything can go wrong, it probably will, saying this is a live demo, but that will only add to the entertainment value. And as Hannah mentioned earlier, you can post your questions during the session via the GoToWebinar Q&A panel, and I'll attempt to answer as many as I can at the end, but please, nothing too difficult. No questions on the meaning of life or algebra, not my areas of expertise. Thankfully, however, this topic is, so let's take a quick look at why Microsoft decided to launch the new Microsoft Project. Well, over the last few years, the Microsoft product and engineering team have been conducting quite a bit of research. They've been speaking with partners such as ourselves and various customers from these partners, including several of our own. And they did this really to get a better understanding of the big picture. And what they found is that we all manage projects. And depending on which department you're in, it might be called a project, could be called a campaign, a product launch, or something else. But fundamentally, they are projects. But what they also found is that not everyone is a trained project manager. Not everyone has chartered status via the APM. Not everyone has Prince2 practitioner or PMP. And often the person leading a project tends to be a subject matter expert who's been assigned a project and told just to get on with it without any real formal project management training. Microsoft also found that we want to manage our work in our own unique ways, which could be in the traditional approach by creating a waterfall plan, or it could be agile or something in between. And the traditional tools, which tend to be primarily Excel or your standard Microsoft project on the desktop, they don't allow that level of flexibility. Collaboration is something that's also critical for the success of any project, but it tends to be chaotic. It's very disorganized. And collaboration for many people could just be a conversation in the corridors or emails bouncing around. It's very difficult to keep it structured. And it's because of these challenges that teams often go out and, on a whim, grab the first solution that they see that would address their own short-term needs. But with everyone using their own preferred solutions, they start to generate a lot of data. And we as an organization want to make sense of it. But it's scattered everywhere, it's a mess, and reporting becomes a manual, time-consuming process and something that PMOs really struggle with. We need visibility in order to make better decisions, but in a manual world, no one really has an accurate big picture. And again, PMOs without the right tools spend a lot of time producing portfolio views, and I'm sure that many of you probably feel that pain on a day-to-day basis. And one of the reasons for that is that there's lots of silos within the typical organization, something that we often refer to as islands of data. They're disconnected, although the departments often work together on joint initiatives or projects, but that is the way that it is. Now, just before I delve into the demo and give you a live overview of what the solutions look like, I want to provide a bit more context around the available plans from Microsoft. So we have Project Plan 1, which provides access to the new browser-based Microsoft project, within which you can go in, create projects, start scheduling. When used by itself, it's quite basic, and you will see that as part of a demo. However, as part of Plan 1, you do also get access to a suite of Power BI reports, which provide some really great automated insights. From a PMO perspective, we need something that's a bit more advanced, and this is where you can combine Microsoft Project Plan 3 or 5 with Power Apps and obviously Power BI to deliver a solution that's more fully featured but can support, for example, things like governance workflows, the ability to prioritize, and access to RAID logs. Some other examples are being displayed on the screen as I talk. To help better visualize what you get with Plan 1 as a standalone license versus Plans 3 or 5 alongside Power Apps, take a quick look at this overview. So the green elements represent what you can do within Project Plan 1, and the purple elements highlighting some example enhancements when you add Project Plan 3 and Power Apps into the mix. And that's what I'll be providing a quick glimpse into right now. So I'm going to go into the demo, but just before I do, a very quick caveat that this will be a high-level overview of Project for the Web and a quick demonstration of how it can be enhanced with Power Apps. If you want to see a more detailed overview, then please do get in touch using the details that will be coming up at the end, and I would be more than happy to take you through. But for now, let's look at Office 365 and Project Plan 1 and Power Apps and obviously Power BI. Quite a bit to cover, a short amount of time. And again, this is going to be more of a teaser as to what you can do rather than a real deep dive. So I'm assuming that most of the delegates that are currently on this webinar already have access to Office 365, Microsoft 365. And within this solution, obviously Project is the application that we're interested in today. So that's where I'm going to go. This is Project Home. It shows the end user a single aggregated view of all of their projects or projects that might have been shared with them. And in this example, I can see a collection of projects that have either been started in Project for the Web. I can also see some that have been created in the more mature solution, which is Microsoft Project Online, which is not something that we are looking at today. On here, I can also see some of my favorite projects pinned along the top, but ignoring all of this, what we want to do for now is go in and create a brand new project using Project for the Web. And when we look at Project for the Web, there's really two interfaces into this. There's the basic web-based interface, that's exactly what I'm going to demonstrate now. And then there's an enhanced interface through Power Apps, and I'll go into that in the next 5 or so minutes. But first of all, I want to come into Project Plan 1, into this browser-based interface, and just show you how easy it is to start building out your plans. So going into this, I'm going to start creating some new tasks. Let's call this Setup. Then we'll add some new tasks. So task 1, task 2, task 3. Let's go for task 4. And what I'm going to do now is make these items into subtasks. We'll also go in and create another element there called Design. And I'm going to promote this. And then I'm going to add in a few more tasks as well. So let's only add a few. Let's take this up to lucky number 7. And again, I'll indent these out. So I've started going in, creating a very basic schedule. I've got some standard columns being displayed as well, such as assigned to, I can see duration, but I can also go in and select from any one of these out of the box fields. I can also add in some custom fields as well. But for now, let's go in and type in effort or select effort. We'll also put in some effort completed. Let's drop in dependencies. And we can also add in a custom field, and we'll call this one status. And there are various options around this, as you can see being presented. So step number 2, I guess, is going in, adding resources against these tasks. So the first person I'm going to add is my friend Megan. And when I look to add a resource, the first thing you'll notice is that it asks me if I want to connect my project to a group. And that's because Project for the Web is connected to Office 365 groups. And for those of you that are familiar with using Microsoft Teams and creating teams within that, you'll know that you can create a gang of people to work and collaborate on these joint initiatives. And that's exactly what we're linking into here. So rather than creating a brand new project, I'm going to go in and add this to an existing group. Let's select Project for the Web, add and assign. And when I do this, you'll see that the group members is going to jump up from 0 The benefits of adding to a group is that when you go in to add additional resources into your projects, and there you can see the 5 group members now being added. But when I go into this, you can see that I've got access now to all of the members of that particular team. So I can now assign a task to Ted. I can go in, assign a task to Adele, and let's assign just 1 or 2 more. We'll add Alex into the mix, and we're going to add 1 task to Lydia. In fact, let's add a couple of resources for that particular task. So straight away, you can see that I've started assigning work to individuals. Now, as it stands, these individuals are not going to receive alerts to say that they've been assigned a task, but that is a feature that's coming. And one of the things that I will mention right now is that Project for the Web is quite a young solution with a lot of planned additional functionality and capability heading across within the next few months. So watch this space. I am going to go in, start adding in some durations. So we'll say this is going to take 5 days, 6 days, 8 days, and let's say 10 days for that one there. And when it comes to this one, we'll say that's going to be 15 days. Now, I've also automatically calculated my effort, but effort and duration, they can be different figures, because I might assign somebody 5 days of work, but say, well, there's only 8 hours of work to complete across those 5 days. You plan it out however you want to. If I go over to depends on, you'll see that I've actually automatically picked up the earlier tasks to be able to create some dependencies. I created earlier a status field. Now, what I'm going to do here is actually go in and add some custom RAG indicators. So I'm going to bring that up, and you can see there's quite a few emojis that we can select from, but I will go in and select green, and we're also going to add a bit of text into this to say that this is on track. Go to the next field. I'm going to create a few now, so I'll, whoops, wrong button. That's an easy mistake to make, but we'll go in, add some amber and some red. So there's amber. And now we'll go into the next one, and I'm going to add in a red one just to make it realistic. And I can also type in some commentary. So this one's at risk, and this one here is, let's say it's blocked. Now, once you've copied some, once you've written something out, you can then go in and select. You don't have to do that process that I've just been through every single time. And we can now see we've got some very clear visual indicators against each one of the tasks. One of the things that we haven't done so far is give this project a name. So I'll click into that, and we'll call this Future PMO Learning Week Demo. I've got a few other options that I'm going to skip over purely because of the time constraints that we have. So going back to this, so this was the grid view that we've just been playing with so far, and you can see how quickly and how easily we've pulled this plan together. Really simple to use, and anybody, even without training, could really go in and start building out a basic schedule. But if we switch over to the board, we're going to see the same tasks listed out, but in this board view. We've got the ability to go in, add custom buckets. Something else we can do is actually go in and look at some predefined bucket views as well, such as progress or by finish date. We will group this by progress. If I now take task 1 and drag it across to in progress, you'll see that it's automatically updated to 50% complete. And we can do this with a few. And when I go back to my grid view, you will see that it's all interlinked. And here we can see effort being displayed as being completed against those 2 respective tasks. So that was the board view. Really nice, very interactive, very similar to the planner view that many of you might already be familiar with as well. Aside from this, we also have my favorite view, and this happens to be the timeline view. And the reason this is probably my favorite is because it's highly interactive and visual. And if I want to create some task dependencies, I can do so very easily by clicking, dragging, and dropping. And there, straight away, we've created a link. And I can do the same thing there. And if I decide that actually one of the tasks that I've got currently set doesn't need as much time, I can either shorten it down or I could extend it out. But either way, I can do that visually just by clicking and dragging, and I can create further dependencies as well. And if I want to mark something as being complete, I can do so just by clicking on that circle there. And that was really easy. Going back to the grid, something that I didn't display earlier is the fact that you can open up task information windows as well. And you can do this across all of the views that I've just demonstrated so far. But again, what I've demonstrated up to now is Project Plan 1 in its basic guise. We've not extended this version of Project for the Web. This is just what you get out of the box. And as you can see, we can very easily go in, start creating tasks, start assigning resources, and there is more functionality that's coming down the pipe from Microsoft over the next 3 to 6 months and beyond that. And on that point, I will say that Microsoft are investing a lot of money in this particular platform alongside the Power Platform, which is where we're actually going to go and head over now. So I mentioned earlier that with Plan 1, you can create some very basic schedules, but if we are a PMO and we want to implement things like governance workflows, and we want to have access to things like RAID logs, we want to be able to enter financial information, then we need to extend using Power Apps. So here we've got a Power App that we've already created. We've called it Wellington Project Web App. And I'm going to head over to that particular view now. And this is the basic view that we've created into this particular interface. In fact, you do have access to a number of inbound views, this being one of them. So at the moment, I'm looking at all of my active projects. I can also go in, look at all projects across the portfolio. I might want to view closed projects, and we could also go in and create views by program, by project manager, by sponsor, by client, by department. There's really no limit to how many views you can create. And when you're creating views, you can also determine which columns you want to display and how that information is going to be fed in. So this was a entry view into the projects, and what I'm going to do from here is go in to a demo project that I've already created earlier. And what you see presented on the screen at the moment is an example view of some of the Power Apps capability. In fact, these are entities we've created to enable users to add in additional data linked to the projects. So to put this into perspective, what I'm going to do is actually jump over from summary over to tasks. And when I jump over to tasks, what you're essentially seeing is the project that we were working on earlier, or a similar example of something that we've created using Project Plan 1. So there we have the project, and this currently being the grid view. We can also cycle through, have a look at the board view, and we can also go into the timeline view. And this is all editable, so none of this is locked down. I can go in, start editing the plan, but for now, we're going to go back to the summary tab, and you'll notice we have got some other tabs being displayed, and we will look at those shortly. But within the summary tab, we've created various entities that enable us to do various things, like defining the type of project you're about to start. So at the moment, we've got this set to the simple project type. This, by the way, is bespoke. So whatever project types you have within your organization, we can mirror that in Project for the Web and with Power Apps. Now, when I select the standard project, one of the things you'll see changing is the life cycle along the top. So when I switch from simple to standard, you can see that we've now got a more detailed life cycle being displayed. So there's more stage gates that we as PMs have to progress through. Now, we'll stick to the standard project type. And before I go into some of the detail there, let's just have a look at some of these stage gate fields that we have available. So this is a stage gate checklist that we've built, and this again is completely configurable. So whatever governance questionnaires you want people to complete or tick off or sign off on, you can display here. And we can also have workflow linked to this as well. So if I, for example, go in and mark no to something, then press next stage, it's not going to let me progress because we've not completed one of the core activities that should have been completed. I've updated that now to yes, and I will then be able to move on to initiation. And this is a field that we've already actually completed in a previous demo. But again, you can see that we've got approval windows there. So once we reach the end of initiation and want to move on to the next phase, before we can do that, somebody would have had to have gone in and reviewed that request and approved it. Going to close out of this. Here we can see an example form that we've created. And in here, we've got the name of the project that's been pulled through from that initial Project Plan 1 information that we filled in. But here we can also type in a brief description. We've also got the ability to align this to a specific portfolio. We can define whether or not this is part of a program. This, of course, being an example as to what you can do. None of this is locked down. So whatever information you would want to collect as part of your project onboarding processes within your organizations, they can be configured. And here we've also got the ability to go in and link this project to other projects, or set this as a master project or as a program here at the top. I've also put in fields here that enable us to define the project status and some example fields there for you to select from. We've also got cost estimates being pulled through. So here we've got the ability to set the original budget, and here we can capture some of the actuals. And of course, we have that project manager's update section being displayed, whereby you can go in, or project managers can go in and provide regular updates in terms of how the project is progressing. And this information, of course, once it is captured, can then feed into project level highlight reports. Cancelling out to this, we've also got access to other tabs there that we can go and access. The task tab I've already highlighted earlier. We can go and look at the team that's involved in this particular project, and you can see the workload across those teams. We can also go in and look at sub-projects linked to this particular project. So this project that I'm in at the moment, Project for the Web, has these sub-projects feeding into it. And there are some other views that we can go into a bit later to view things like hierarchies, and I will demonstrate that shortly. For now, let's go into the RAID log. This, again, something that you don't get as standard, but something that we often build for our customers. And here we can see we've got a risk log, issues log, actions and decisions. Over and above what I'm demonstrating at the moment, you can also go in and create things like lessons learned logs. You could have benefits trackers in there. You could also have change logs as well. And I'm going to go in actually and illustrate how easy it is to go in and add new items. You can see we've got the ability to give this a title. So we'll call this a demo risk. We can then set an owner. We can define the status. We can also categorize this. And again, everything that I'm demonstrating so far is configurable. We then have the ability to set the probability score. So let's set that at 3. We'll also set the impact at 3 as well. We can give it a description. This is a description. And I can type in actions for my mitigation plan. I can define the due date, put in contingency plan, and link in any associated costs. And certain fields we can make mandatory, the others are optional in this particular example. But when I save and close now, you'll see that that is going to be displayed within the risk window there. And of course, this information that we're putting in is then also reportable. So what you're about to see are the standard 9 reports that Microsoft provide as part of Project Plan 1. And this is the portfolio dashboard. Here we can see some really insightful information, such as the total count of projects, the total number of hours booked against in terms of effort. We can see effort completed, effort remaining, and we can also see projects by progress. So we have 6 currently that are running and 14 that are not yet started. And we can also see how the effort breaks down by individual projects. And we can see that Ted Danson is the winning project manager here with the highest number of projects, closely followed by Megan Bowen. I was about to say Meghan Markle by mistake. Okay, so here we have the breakdown there of the project list. We can see all the projects. And look, if you want more information than what's displayed on these particular reports, you can link through these hyperlinks into the plan and get as much detail as you want to see. Aside from these, we also have the portfolio timeline. So here we can see in this display all of the projects that we currently have in flight within a Project for the Web. And you can see how they're progressing in terms of percentage complete. You can see the timelines that they start and end. And all of that information is being displayed. In fact, the color coding at the moment is grouping them by project manager. Out of this, we also have the portfolio milestones. The data, again, that's being displayed is all coming from Project for the Web. If you are within an organization that's also maybe using Project Online, then there is the ability to create custom reports and merge the data between both platforms as well. So here we have a list of the portfolio milestones. These are milestones that have been completed within the last 30 days, and we have only the one that's upcoming in the next 30 days. We also have a basic resource dashboard being displayed that shows you the number of tasks by project, tasks by status, and we can also see some KPIs being displayed there down the left-hand side. And we also see who has the highest number of tasks assigned to them. So we have Megan Bowen, Ted Danson as well, and a few other resources that I've got quite a bit of workload and some that are really not really active at all. And here we can see which projects have the highest assignment across them in terms of resource allocation. We also see resource assignments. We also see a task overview. So this shows you tasks that have been assigned across the entire project portfolio, but we also see a project timeline being displayed here, but actually shows you which projects are in flight and how they're progressing. And you can also see very clearly when the individual tasks are also taking place. So we're looking at project for the web, that particular project we were working on earlier, but if I collapse that, we will be able to see other projects that we have within this specific portfolio. And of course, you have various filters along the top, so you can zoom out, you can also zoom in, and you could focus in on certain timeframes within that timeline that we have defined along the top. So I'll scroll along, and again, we see some data being presented. If you want to go in as an individual and view your specific workload, you can also do that as well through reports like My Work. What I'm going to do now is just go back to my slide deck and just wrap this up now. So let's talk about next steps. So if you'd like to learn more, I can provide you with a tailored demo focused around your core objectives. So please do get in touch using the details that are coming up in just a moment if you'd like to explore that specific option. If you would like to take a deeper dive, we can also deliver an envisioning workshop, which would be used to look at your current ways of working, to understand the pain points that you have within your organization, and to show you the art of the possible. The output from this session is typically a tailored implementation roadmap alongside recommendations for next steps. Alternatively, if you'd like to get hands-on, we can also deliver a formalized proof of concept, and we can actually provide some licensing around that as well. But the POC or the proof of concept would certainly help you to start visualizing some of your data and your processes within Microsoft 365. So that is unfortunately the end of this short session. I'm sure you have questions, so please don't hesitate to get in touch using the details currently displayed. If you'd like to connect with me on LinkedIn, then you can either search for my name or you can scan the QR code via the LinkedIn app on your phone. Please do also check out the Wellington website and follow us on LinkedIn, where we regularly announce new events. And please do make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is where this recording will be uploaded a bit later on today. However, at this stage, I'm going to hand over back to Hannah to get the Q&A session started. So Hannah, back over to you.
Yes, thanks, Baz. Thank you for delivering that great webinar. We do have a couple of questions based on your presentation, so I'll go through those now. The first one is, does Project for the Web connect to Microsoft Project Professional?
It doesn't at the moment. So if we think about Microsoft Project on the desktop, which has files in the MPP file format, there's no way in which to either link them or to import your plans in. However, I know that the ability to import your plans in is coming, and that should be here within the first half of 2021.
Okay, excellent. The second is this the same as Project Online?
No, so Project for the Web is an entirely different solution from Project Online. Project Online is designed as the enterprise extension to Microsoft Project on the desktop. It's a really mature solution. It's been around for a significant amount of time. In fact, the first version of it was launched back in the year 2000 as an on-premise solution, but over time it's grown to become a real end-to-end enterprise-wide project and portfolio management solution. It has some really sophisticated features within it, whereas Project for the Web has been designed by Microsoft to be, first of all, the new project, but also to be a lot lighter and a lot more accessible to people that maybe aren't formally trained project managers. So yes, different solutions, but we do have organizations that are using both. So as an example, we might have PMOs that are really quite sophisticated using Project Online. Then we might have other departments or other teams within the organization using Project for the Web, but using Power BI, we can bridge the gap and show organizations a single view of what's going on across the portfolio. And of course, we can use Power BI to do that. We can also use the Microsoft Roadmap feature to do that as well.
Okay,
that answers my question.
Yeah, and then the last question we have is, can you baseline or view the critical path in a schedule?
So you can't baseline your plans at the moment. There are workarounds. You can't view things like your critical path as you can do in Microsoft Project on the desktop. But again, that functionality is incoming based upon what we've been told. And that functionality should be here within, I guess, the first half of 2021 is the latest update that I currently have.
Okay, thank you. And as that was the end of the questions that we have now. So thank you very much for delivering the webinar today. We hope that everyone attending enjoyed it. Just to let you know, we have recorded this webinar and we will be publishing it later on in the week. And I will be sending out that recording to you all via email as well. As Baz mentioned, if you do have any other questions about Microsoft Project for the Web, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us. We'd be more than happy to answer them for you. So I hope to see everyone at our next Future PMO Academy Learning event. You can book onto our webinars, and we do have a free networking session this Friday, which we will have Debbie Dorr, Chief Executive from the APM, hosting that as well. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate your time today.